You're listening to the Precision Shooting Podcast, discussing all aspects of precision and long-range rifle shooting. This episode is brought to you by Impact Dynamics. And now, over to your hosts.
Hello and welcome to the Precision Shooting Podcast. This is a very extra special episode. I've got Andy joining me. Andy, how you doing?
I'm good.
Wonderful. I've got no silly gags for you. Sorry tonight.
That's okay.
This is a very straight episode. We're all business tonight. We're all business.
Yep. Thursday nights tomorrow night.
That's right. Yeah, it's a Wednesday. This is the 2019 wrap-up of the equipment used in the PRS, or whatever formal title we were meant to give this thing. But over the course of 2019, at the matches, the shooters were all surveyed and they entered the gear that they were using. And if you remember, we did this a year ago, and we polled all the shooters of what they were using, and then we talked it through. I don't know if you guys remember or if you've gone back and listened recently, but Andy, that was his first appearance on the podcast, I reckon, unless you... No, I reckon that was the first appearance you did on the podcast.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was so long ago.
And I remember sitting there giggling because he'd say some, and he hadn't shot PRS yet. That was the big thing. He'd shot some practical matches and bits and pieces, but he hadn't shot PRS.
Yep.
And I remember we were talking about some equipment stuff and like, I think it's going to trend towards, I think we'll see some more 6.5s or whatever, whatever he said. And I'm sitting there going, you got a bit to learn, man. And then he's come through and like dominated the season. So he has learnt a lot. I suspect it's going to be very different. You're going to be telling me what's going to be going on, and I'll be like, I guess maybe that'll work.
Nah.
We will see. So
I've just got a few more aspects.
getting there. So what we will be doing, we'll be going through each of the categories. If you're watching the YouTube video of this, not the live one that our special Patreons are watching at the moment. Hello, Patreons. Thanks for supporting us. What's up? The YouTube version of this podcast will have the graphs being displayed as we talk about them, and you can find them on the Impact Dynamics website. If you would like, just jump on there, look under the Precision Shooting Podcast. It should be there, unless it's somewhere else, and I'm sure you'll be able to find it somewhere. It'll be there. I promise. It'll be there. Well, for this, at least 6 months or something.
Watch this space.
Delete it and then find some new website and move on with other priorities in life, like beer podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, so let's kick things off. So now we probably should get this set up. We've got all the charts in front of us. We can see what's going on there. But I might just bring up the 2018 ones as well. Andy, I think might be useful to have them on file so we can see how they have trended since the previous year. Let's drag that up. That would have been really useful to look at prior to doing this. Anyway, that's the way it is. This is I was going to say this is what happens when you're live, but we're not live at all. So anyway, good. I'm glad we are comprehending this. All right, there's 2018. We've got the data there. We're just winging it, just making it work. That's all happening there. Now, just to give some clarity, some full disclosure information about this, the information we're about to present. The shooters were polled at every match. However, there was some data loss sustained. And so this is a picture from June through to, when was the finale? November.
Yep.
June through to November. So there was the matches from Mildura and from Monado. The data from there didn't make its way through to this data. However, to explain how the data was sourced, this only reflects the most up-to-date equipment listing of each individual shooter. So if a shooter shot at Darwin, for example, and shot the finale, the data was drawn from their finale setup.
Yep.
Yeah. And so if shooter did shoot in Monado or Mildura and the data hasn't flowed through, but they then shot at Buchan, their information, he's still present here and hasn't actually lost anything. So I think I did work the number out. It's something like 12 shooters who only shot either Monado or Mildura and didn't shoot another match.
Yep.
And that's the only data it's affected. So it's about 10%.
Why didn't they shoot another match?
I know.
Oh, come on.
I know. Come on, guys. Sort it out in 2020. Speaking of which, we are recording on the night. The bar is cold, still open. Went live about 26 hours ago and sold out about 4 hours ago. 22 hours, and it was. I've got my numbers wrong on that. But anyway, the 22 hours it was available for, and filled for 65 spots, which is incredible.
Yep. Hot off the press.
Yeah. So if
Get
you're
into it.
not a PRS member and you're planning on shooting matches, maybe sign up as a PRS member because it only got to member release. It didn't actually get to public release for this one here. Anyway, there's all the plugs. That's what we're doing. This podcast is not formally sponsored by PRS, but I guess it may as well be. We'll just claim it is. All right, let's look at cartridges. So cartridges for 2019. I was going to say 2020 because that's what we're in. That's what we're dealing with. Right, most popular cartridge.
Right, so we're looking at 6.5 Creedmoor.
6.5 Creedmoor by a long way.
Yep. Yeah, it's still dominating.
Yeah.
Well, back in 2019.
So 2018 numbers, it was about 46%, and 2019 numbers, it's about 45%.
Yep.
So it's basically no movement at all. What is interesting, we had about 15% of the field using, 14% of this field using 308 Winchester. That is up by about 1% on the previous year. Any ideas why you think that might have been?
This is where I'm going to come in with all my experience and say
Yeah, that's right.
something
This
stupid.
is the exact moment. I'm like, I poised you up and you're ready to rock and roll, and now you're rolling with all your information that you've garnished over the year.
I think it's just going to be more people jumping into it and just buying a rifle, and they're just going with 308.
Yeah,
off the shelf rifle sort of.
Or it's guys. That's what they've got.
Yeah,
that's probably. I think you're right. It's these new guys jumping in on it, and that's what they've used.
Yep.
There was a lot of 260s last time round. That has waned significantly, hasn't it? I came. Where is it? There it is. There's about 5% this year, and it was about 12% last year. So that's dropped significantly. 6XC. What's really come through? The 6mm Creedmoor has gone from a couple of percent to about a 7 or 8.
Yep.
6BR has picked up a bit there, about 4% from.
Yeah, a lot of those sixes have started to gain a bit of traction, and they probably will continue to.
Yeah, there's only 1 or 2 BRs in 2018, and there's a swag of them in 2019. Anything else that's of interest? A few 223s, probably a similar amount. Yeah, maybe a little under, but similar amount. 243s have dropped off just to Travie, I think. Just to Travie running his 243. I'm not sure there's too many others. 243 AI as well. 6.5 PRC. Didn't see that the year before. No massive surprises. The Creedmoor up, the BR up. No GTs in there yet. That'll change. That will change. And the others. But a lot more 6mm. Look at that. There's a lot more 6mm there.
Yeah, I think as more manufacturers create 6 Creedmoor and the 6BR and like with the brass and bits and pieces, that stuff will definitely start to jump up.
Yeah. 7 different variations of 6mm and 2 variations of 6.5. 3 variations, sorry. 3 variations. Forgot the PRC. 4 variations, 260. I'm not good with numbers. Anyway, that is, but the Creedmoor reigns supreme. I think that is more so, this doesn't break down by top shooters. This just gives us the overall. I suspect that you will find that is the general, if you're buying a gun for PRS now and you're buying factory, you're probably going to buy Creedmoor.
Yep.
Makes really good sense as to do that.
Yep.
All right, on to our next little category. Our next category is action by manufacturers. You want to give us some of the top ones there, mate?
Yeah, well, Tikka's smashing it. Yeah, I think Tikka's got a pretty good variety or good options for PRS rifles.
Yep.
And then we jump down to Accuracy International.
Yeah, Tikka's about 30 odd percent, 33% or so.
Oh yeah, it's way up there.
Accuracy International.
Yeah, sitting about 11%.
Yep. So. And there's Team AI that shot this last year, so that's going to be a good representation. A couple of others on top of that.
Then we're jumping down to what's the next? Defiance.
Defiance will be the next one in, just under 10%.
Yeah, good custom action there. A lot of people I think are jumping towards the custom actions now.
Yeah, we're going to see more and more of that, and that's probably probably when I'm having a look at the other numbers around it, there's not a lot of custom actions that are close to that. We've got the next down, your Hauer and Rugers. They're about on par with each other, which you're going to be finding mostly in your production type guns. And Bagara are not far behind there, and what was the other one I saw? Remy are not far behind there, but then Impact Action is probably the next highest. Impact and Bighorn, and they're about half of what Defiance is. I think that will change this year in 2020.
As in more custom actions?
That is one factor, and then I think we may see the rise of the impacts a little bit more this year. I certainly know that there's more of them now. In that mix, but I think you're right. I think that we will see more and more of the custom actions. There'll be more of those. Let's have a look at what it was like. I mean, Tika were a standout last year as well. They were a bit under 30%, so they've actually gained some ground. Defiance were the most popular custom action last year, and Accuracy International came in under that, so that's sort of swapped around a little bit. Defiance were actually the exact same, 10% as the previous year. So they still retained, there's more shooters this year, and Defiance have retained that percentage.
I think when I sort of started off, I was, custom actions was something that was like, well, they're just for the, the top tier. They're like, right up there. But now, like with so many manufacturers and chassis and things being made to accommodate that stuff, it's, buy a chassis, buy an action, buy a barrel. Yeah. It all just gets smashed together and just happens.
Would you say that maybe over this year you've really learnt the value of a custom sort of setup, like where the benefits may be, even if you're not the top 10 shooter? I think it's a nicer experience. It's custom. It's very much fit for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm running a Tika, so I haven't had a whole lot of experience with a custom action apart from just playing with them. They definitely feel smoother. They sort of cycle easier, all that sort of thing. So I can see an advantage there.
Okay. Fantastic. Yeah. Interestingly enough, so as I mentioned, AI and Defiance is sort of AI has picked up. They were in about we're ballparking these percentages because they line up somewhere between 5 and 10. So we'll say 7, and they're now sitting about 11%. So they've gained a little bit more, perhaps maybe because they entered a team and they've just got a bit more presence and they got some guys out there pushing for it.
Good social marketing.
Yeah, certainly. Ruger and Hauer, again, were locked last year, 2018. So very much the same, I'd say same percentage, maybe a little bit more, and the same amount as each other. So that's very interesting. Surgeon were the next in line. Oh, actually, Surgeon Bighorn were the next two, and they were both in line this year.
Sort of drop back.
Surgeon have dropped back a little bit. Bighorn are about where they were, maybe a little bit underneath. So that's interesting to see. There was no impacts last year at all. Remington's picked up. What's going on there? There's a few more Remingtons getting out.
Old Faithful.
I think you're right. I think more guys shooting the series. We've expanded sort of how much equipment's being used and on there, and so some interesting things to take away from there. Good. All right. Actually, now I see. I have to take it back. Ruger had a larger market share last year than Hauer, just for my lack of ability to create graphs in 2018. I double listed them, so they got on two lines. So they actually are pretty much on par with Defiance last year. I've gotten better at these things, not better at speaking, but I've gotten better at making graphs, and so I've only put one Ruger in this time, which will show that Hauer have caught up a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that they're there because I mean, bang for buck, those rifles, people starting out will just jump straight on them. The Ruger RPR and the Hauer Bravos and that sort of stuff, they're just, ready to roll. So it doesn't surprise me they're up there.
Absolutely. All right, let's break that down a little bit further. We've got action by model this year. So looking at Tika, the TAC A1, so TAK one is a T3
Yep.
X really, but there's been broken down by TAK one and then just T3 or T3X.
Yep.
So there's a lot more T3s than TAK ones.
Yep.
No big surprise there, but that's how they break down. Any thoughts on that? You're running a TAK one. You're one of those statistics.
Yep. So running the TAK one. I mean, I originally bought that to start in production and carry through into open. And looking back, you know, even I sometimes wish it would have been good to have the T3X just to bang around in production and then try and pick a chassis that really, you know, pick something afterwards.
That's an interesting comment. So you would have preferred to have gone with something a little bit more standard, like a CTR or something like that.
Yeah, and then probably have the options. I mean, I still have the options now, but
you've invested in that chassis.
I've invested in
got.
that chassis.
Yeah,
so
got it.
And now that I've painted it, it's lost all its value. So,
or it's increased. Anyway, well, that's interesting. Interesting to know, particularly for new shooters, that maybe going down the CTR option is really, really good way of doing things.
Keep your options open for a chassis afterwards. Yeah.
Only one model from Surgeon, from Stiller, from Steyr, from Seiko. We've got the RPRs for make up the majority of Ruger, although there's one American Predator. I think I know who that might be in production. The Remingtons are 700, of course. Morsingfield, there's one. Menil, the S2S, there's one, which would be Nick. The Lithgow, LA105, the Impact. Now we've got some data discrepancy here. I will have to update that. It looks like there's one of the Surgeon models is in under Impact. Anyway, we'll get that fixed up on the graphs that you guys are looking at. So Surgeon have two models, I think one of each or two of a couple of that. Just the one Impact model is there. Hauer 1500, of course, the Gap Tempest, Desert Tech SRS, Defiance Deviant, Curtis Custom Vector, the Bighorn, the HMRs from Bagara, and then a bit of a breakdown with the AIs, the AXs, and then the ATs as well. The data in 2018 was not so clear. There is probably a few. Tigger have picked up overall, so there's probably a few less TAK ones, but there's more T3Xs. So I think your theory has been worked out by some others this year.
Yeah,
you're just gone, and so that probably jumped into that. But it could also be financial, just guys sort of not spending as much money on it.
Yeah, that is. Yep.
Yeah, maybe spending a bit more on the scope. That could be a factor. Yeah. Anyway, that's where we sit for action models. Let's flick on over to barrels. So again, we get dominated a fair bit here by the Tigger because of so many tickers, and people don't really change them around.
Be worried if it was the other way around.
But can you see what brand that is?
So is that Bartlett?
Yeah, that is. I was going to ask you. I should have made you guess. Guess who was the number one aftermarket barrel manufacturer? Does that surprise you at all? That's Bartlett.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Who would you have guessed?
I probably would have guessed Proof.
Okay.
Proof or Swan, just because I hear a lot more about them, just with chit chat around the place than I do Bartlett.
So Proof is second for aftermarket.
Yep.
Currently, we've purely on numbers. AI is next, but again, I think that's linked to how many AIs are out there being run. Hauer and then Ruger as well. So they're the ones to be expected because of the bulk of the factory guns. But then Proof is in behind that. We go to Krieger, and then Swan. Swan's in behind that for the aftermarket stuff, and then dribble down to sort of one or two people using the rest of them. So nice big spread. There's a lot of different barrel manufacturers being made there, and I think often get asked what barrel do I use or this or that, and mate, just
piece of conduit.
Yeah, if it's a good brand, good quality brand, and they've got a good reputation. Generally, you can't go too wrong.
Yeah, I remember having I think it was on a podcast when we talked about it, where it's like really availability and customer service. Is probably what you want to look for. Yeah. Good.
If you're a good name and good reputation, then flick down to those two and get yourself sorted out as the Butlins are done. I think there's an element here that as well that PRS is still relatively young in this country.
Definitely.
And I think that you will find that even if those tickers remain fairly dominant, you will get more and more guys move into open sort of stuff.
Yep.
And so we've certainly seen that there's a lot more guys in open than production. Like the production to open ratio for 2020, there's a lot less in production comparative to the 2019 ratio of the same numbers. So that's interesting to see that unrestriction of gear become a little bit more of a factor. Not a factor in results particularly, more of a factor in this sort of data type thing. And so I think we will see that the amount of people running a ticker barrel will drop. Not necessarily the amount of people running a ticker action, but as these guys replace that, there's probably people who have been shooting for a couple of years who haven't shot enough rounds through their 2 to 3 to replace the barrel on it, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, well, I know I'll probably be up for a barrel soon. So
yeah, it lasts you about a season, but you shot quite a few matches.
Yeah, that thing's still rattling bullets down there though. That's all right.
Yeah, and practicing, you're at a club shooting regularly and stuff. Whereas
that's
a couple of number of other guys might shoot 2 or 3 big matches a year.
Yep.
They're still on their original barrel they were running, but it's probably come in time. If they're going to shoot this season, they'll probably start thinking about that. Last year, very, very similar story. Tickers, dominating for that. But number one aftermarket barrel was Bartline. Behind that was Madco, and then Swan, Krieger, then Accuracy International. Proof there was one or maybe 2 people running a Proof the year before. So while Proof was down, as far as you were thinking Proof might be number one, they're not number one, but they have grown significantly in their market share. Yep. Yeah, which is it's just the way it is. The way it is. Good stuff. All right, we're moving through this. We're getting there. We're sorry it's not quite as stupid and we could just do a bit of impact. Yeah, there we go. A few gags to keep people awake.
Blank look on my face.
What is he doing? What's going on there? We are on to stocks and chassis. So these are put in together. Number one by a fair bit, even taking into account all the factory options. KRG.
Yeah.
They've got 22% of the market, somewhere in there, 21, 22. Are you surprised, Andy?
Not too surprised. I would have thought the MDT would have been up there. MDT and Masterpiece Arms would have been up there.
Okay.
A bit higher with them. But
I think a couple of things. MDT, they're what is it, ACC?
Yep.
That really only started hitting
that's true.
through this year.
Yep.
And I think that that number will be up
definitely
this year coming. I think more guys have moved across to that. They present excellent value. And I think that KRG, with Delta's involvement in the series, have been front and center with the KRGs. And the thing is that the KRGs will represent both the Bravos, which I think, I don't know what the next slide's going to have for us, but I think that the Bravos are going to play a fair
part of that
factor in that for bumping those numbers up, which, MPA don't have that cheaper option that will give them that percentage.
As a factory package. Yeah.
So I think, you're right. In production, you can find KRGs in production because of that, which is probably why the tickers in there and the Howers, there's probably not very many Hower stocks. There's one. So it'd be, someone using just a generic Hower stock, but there is a whole stack of KRGs in, which are still classed as production. Number one stock this year was Macmillan. Interestingly enough, Manners. Let's bring up the ones from last year. I've got to find there we go, stock manufacturer. Yes, Manners were the number one out of everything last year. I don't think Manners have gotten bad or anything. I think guys have moved from stocks to chassis.
Yep.
I think with Arca rails and a few other bits and pieces, there has been much more, and that's why the KRGs are up. I mean, the MPAs are up, MBTs are they're all increased in how many are being run. Perhaps at the cost of Manners. and Macmillan have probably stayed somewhat static. I'm just trying to see. Yeah, very similar. Maybe up a little bit. Maybe because of the A10, that smaller sort of stock. But that's where I think now what things could change is that TCS. Is that? I think that's the name. The Manners TCS stock, the one that we looked at.
Oh, the one they
last
just released.
episode.
Yeah, that looked nice.
That I mean, I looked at that. I'm going, oh, I wonder if I can get one of them painted in rainbow colours. But yeah, I think that may throw a few people back. But I know a number of guys have gone from Manners, from stocks to chassis, not because they're unhappy with Manners, just they've fallen in love.
Do you find there's like I noticed like from all the more of the traditional looking stocks, there was a strong trend towards chassis.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think now it's starting to taper back towards the stock sort of look, but still has the internal chassis?
I think I think we're at a point now where there's the products, particularly that TCS, and then that's probably the one where we might see a little trend back if we look back on the 2020 numbers. Although I don't know what the timeframes and delivery schedules of those TCSs are, whether or not we got to wait another. Yeah, they're released now, like the ACCs were, and we'll see some, but we've got to wait another year to start seeing really reflected in the numbers.
Yeah. And all the people who have just invested in a
code, KG or a chassis of some sort, they'll probably want to get a year or two out of it.
Yeah,
who knows? So in behind that, AI, obviously with their running quite a few AIs in the mix of things, and then there's a few more options with the chassis as well. And they have just released their I couldn't find a lot of details on them, but they're coming. They're coming, I guess. And so we will see some more from them, perhaps. Tickers are down, but they're the sort of the next in line. No big surprises there. The MDTs, the Rugers. So really a big swing towards chassis.
Yep.
With KRG leading the charge, Masterpiece Arms, and then MDT. All right, we'll flick.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, like, because there's so many other options or like accessories, you might say, coming out with those things, like all the array of barricade stops, different supports, attachments. It's just That certainly has a factor. Let's flick it across to the next because it might give some clarity around a couple of questions. This is probably the most heavy in terms of information. This is by model. So let's flick up to KRG. So number one was the Whiskey 3, it's the most popular one by taking about 11% of all the shooters. But the Bravo is at 8%. Yeah. So it is right up there. That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, right up there. And
good chassis.
Great. Yeah, great option. Great option. And the fact that it's production scale, production level sort of thing, no big surprise. X-Ray is not far behind it as well.
Oh, there is a KDX.
There is.
Just wondering about that one.
KDX, but just the one.
Yep.
So Tickers is another interesting breakdown. Very few Ticker standard stocks. The CTRs are spelled out differently, and the TAC A1 definitely has the dominance.
Yep.
So a lot of these T3s that are being run are in something else.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, which is no big surprise, but that's the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks like people have bought them to start off with, and then progressed into a different chassis, which is good.
Yep.
Yep.
It's the way. The MDT, we've got an Oryx, a HS3, a bunch of ESS, and a bunch of ACCs. I think that we will see that all shift towards the ACC.
Yep. Definitely.
There's a split on the Macmillans, MPAs. Majority of them are the competition ones. And Manners, T5, T4, XRS.
You reckon any more foundations coming out?
Yeah, I think if they got they just struggle to keep up with supply in the US present. So I think that's really the case. All right, on to the next one. Triggers. Here we go. Okay, no big surprise. Number one is Ticker. Yep. Where do we go from there, mate?
From there, we're probably looking at a Trigger Tech. So they've got the diamond, don't they? Is that the diamond?
I'm not going to say I'm familiar with the model numbers or names. I don't know why. I don't know
that's all right. But Trigger Tech's up there. I know Timney's been around for a long time, so Trigger Tech's at
Jewel's up there as well. Jewel's actually matching Trigger Tech.
Where are they? Oh, there.
Just there.
Yep. I should look at the whole graph.
Minor details, but yeah, Jewel. Yep. So Jewel was the highest aftermarket trigger last year.
Yep.
And seemingly has dropped down a little bit, and probably given that over to Trigger Tech. Trigger Tech has more than about doubled what they had last year. So more and more of those.
Yep.
Which is interesting to see. Of course, Ruger present there. They were present last time. Timney holding the fort very similar. A little bit more in Timney, just a touch.
Yeah, to be honest, I've just got an aftermarket trigger for mine for the Tikka.
Yep.
And I went with a Timney. Didn't really look around at the other brands too much.
Yeah. Okay.
Just went into the shop and I said, I'll grab that one.
Good.
It's what they had. So.
And have you been playing with it a lot?
I did play with it a little bit. Yeah, the adjustments work pretty well.
Good.
Yeah, it's nice.
Good. So you like it? Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, that's what we want to see. Nice. Anything else you've mentioned?
The AIs have their special triggers, don't they?
AI triggers,
Yep.
yeah. Because they would have had the competition triggers this year round.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but again, AIs. It's just that's what they're running. Rigger again, normal sort of stuff. Little bit of showing from Bix and Andy, but it's really Timney, Trigger Tech, and Jewel aftermarkets. They're the ones that are showing up the most. All right, scopes. So here we go. Now we're getting into the serious. What do you mean? Here we get into the serious territory of. All right, by scope manufacturer. Well, Nightforce are
way up there.
Are up there. Yep.
43%.
Yep.
43.
They're dominating, and we will have this breakdown by models in a second. In second place, Vortex, same as last year. Vortex have dropped a little bit, come down, and probably been picked up about the same by the Night Forces. Third, Bushnell. Bushnell have lost some ground, just a little bit.
Yep.
One or two. You were running a Bushnell, weren't you?
Still am.
Still are.
Yep.
Still are. Okay, you'll be representing.
Can I get a free Vortex?
Carlos has picked up. You might be able to win one this year. Carlos has picked up a little bit of market share there as well. Burris about the same as the 2018. Schmidt and Bender. Schmidt and Bender aren't on the list. Schmidt and Bender have dropped off.
Right.
They had a bit of they were in about 5th last year, and they've gone, which is not a massive surprise. This is Athlon are there, only just. They've dropped off again. March is about the same. Steiner is about the same as well.
Yep.
So Tangent Theta, I think, is a new entry for this year. We've probably actually dropped a couple of brands. No Trigicon, no Minox, no Zeiss. It's probably really started to focus down into the core guys who make PRS sort of style setups.
Yeah, a bit more tailor-made. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you reckon there will be a zero comp on the next?
I think there will be.
Yeah,
I think we'll see a zero comp in there. And we will see because what if you follow the US series, if you have followed the US series over the years, this stuff scopes are fickle, unfortunately. Some people are very much assigned to their brand and aligned with it and love it, which is excellent. But what you do find is that someone will bring out a new model, and it'll be it's sort of like this leapfrogging. Yep. So the latest and greatest, really, that's relevant to our sport, that is proven, is the 7 to 35 ATAC-Rs. From which let's jump across to the models, because we've got that here, stock by model. We kept some better data this year. So the ATAC-R is the number one, and by a fair way.
Yeah.
Pure on breakdown there at
29%.
29% of the market, and nothing else. The closest behind that is sitting on just over 10%. So they're 3 times, nearly 3 times most popular scope. And most of those are the 7 to 35s. And then what will happen at some point, one of the bigger brands, Carla's Vortex, Bushnell, let's go with those. Barras XTR3 is a contender. There's probably 3 or 4 brands there that could bring something out.
Yep.
That would then leapfrog that, and everyone, not everyone, but a bunch of people will shift across to whatever it is, and then that sort of ebbs and flows a little bit. Now it's going to have to be pretty good to knock the 7x35. That's an excellent scope for this type of shooting. So it will be interesting to see what happens this year. I mean, I find scopes one of the most interesting one to see watch it go around, and you have seen like when the 2013 reports came out from PRS over in the US, Schmidt and Bender were number 1.
Yeah, right.
And now they barely make it onto the list.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see, and you'll see as you can tie it in with the models as someone doesn't release a model like Vortex, for example, the Razor, good scope, and the Gen 2, the 4.5 27, but it has been that scope for a long time as their flagship. Now they just released the 1-10 Gen 3.
Yep.
Not particularly relevant to our sport.
But,
I don't have any inside information. I wish I did. I really wish I did.
Yeah.
But you can join some dots here, and there's a Gen 3 that's come out. So at some point, they're going to have to release a Gen 3 flagship model.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see what that is, and you could see that may, that needs a refresh, and perhaps that picks up some steam. So
yeah, that's it. The right features at the right price point and could definitely jump up.
Who knows? Or Carles might up their magnification scale or something along those lines. We don't know. We don't know. Zero compromise. Everyone might get flushed with cash and all buy zero compromise, and that might be up there. We will see. or not to discredit, Night Force might bring something else out that enhances on what they're doing, and away they go. Yeah, it's up for debate. Although generally your research and production cycles are going to say that this is going to be an every couple of years type thing, but. Who knows? Who knows? What is interesting from this model breakdown is the Viper PST was one of probably the most popular tier 2 scope, I guess we'd call it. Commonly found in production and still commonly taken through into open. Plenty of guys in open were running them. That's sitting over 10%. That's the second most popular scope overall, which is no surprise for the dollars, for sub $2,000.
Yeah. I reckon.
Scope.
I reckon. It's pretty well on par with my XRS.
Yeah.
Which is great. Yeah.
And then, behind that, the Razor, the Razor Gen 2 was the next one in line from there. Dropped down to a Night Force NXS, which I think people have them and then bring them across more so than buying them for this. Carla's behind that. There was certainly good uptake in Carla's. I think there was a few March in there as well. Barras XTR2, and then we get into there's just so many scopes here, so many different 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just going to count it out loud to everyone listening. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. About 28, near on 30 different models of scope.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's just so many different variations. So many different variations.
What do you reckon? I reckon Leopold's maybe going to drop off the mark this year. I mean, they did bring out one. Which I think they've tried to incorporate a lot of the features.
Well, John Pinch is running a Leopold.
Yep.
And obviously doing extremely well. But John Pinch would do anything, a toilet roll, he'd be fine. So I think that they probably have a product that does well. They haven't brought it to market here.
Yep.
I think one of the other factors, one of the other big factors in all of this stuff, solid gear. So the Night Force, the Vortex, the Carles, the Barras, all solid gear in their various price points and really good at what they do. And they also have a practical presence of these matches, either through sponsorship,
yep,
or all in sponsorship in that regard, but also they have people on the ground at the matches.
Yep.
Supporting the matches, shooting the matches in stage officer manner or whatever it may be. And so they are giving back to the community. They're involved. And so that's where I think that we see it overall we've been talking about with the AI picking up. You know, they put a team in, they promote the team, the guys are on there talking about and they're performing well with the equipment. So you see the guys who are performing well with the various gear and that tends to do that. And that's where for Leopold, who have got one scope in the mix of things, they'd need to do some work. It's not going to come to them. They'd need to do some work to make that happen. And so, I think that's my take on it. See how we go. There's even a few. I don't know the prices of all of these scopes, but I reckon the Diamondback Tactical from Vortex is probably the cheapest scopes in there, and they work well. They're sort of $500 or $600 scopes.
Yeah. I haven't played with a Bushnell Forge before, but are they meant to be the Bushnell's entry level as well?
I'll admit I don't know the model names very well with the Bushnell series. So let's just get a price on that. That may be.
I think the Forge is sort of like their Diamondback sort of.
No, I would have to. I'm just looking here at Magnum Sports. We've just punched in Forge series. They're all $1,000 plus.
Oh, right.
So they're twice the price of the Diamondbacks. So I'm pretty confident to say the Diamondbacks are the cheapest ones there.
Yep.
Interesting to see.
Yep. Don't listen to me.
Oh no, listen to you. Just fact checked. Just looking what else is interesting there. Of the XTR3s only came out late this year. First one was used at Bigoton. So obviously a couple there. They're going to be the Burris shooters. I don't think anyone beyond the Team Burris guys have actually been able to get one at this stage.
Yep.
Very good. Again, only one of the NX8s in, but I suspect that's because they're not. That I think the NX8s we will see an improvement on there. I think we will see more of the XTR3s in the mix. I think we will see some more of the K525s. There's only one of those in there. Anyway, that's the ones I think we might see some more of. Anything more on scope, Sandy?
No, I'm just getting blurry now.
I get it. It's a focus joke.
Yep.
Well done. Okay, muzzle brakes. Oh, wow, there's a few options here.
Where's the chode? Where's the chode at?
Well, funnily enough, you mentioned the chode. APA number one. They make the chode.
Yeah.
So APA number one. No big surprise there. Oh, I should have. That's what we forgot to do with the scopes. We forgot to have a look at where it was. Oh no, we did look at the previous year. My bad. It was just forever ago. We haven't looked at the muzzle brakes compared to the previous year. Let's look at that. So, muzzle brakes. This is interesting. I found some interesting information here, Andy. Last year, the most popular muzzle brake was none.
Well,
about 28% of everyone.
That's unfortunate.
Used no muzzle brake.
Must have been pleasant to shoot.
And then in 2019, the none category, so no one running it, was about 16%. So probably one of the biggest drops we've seen in any category.
Where's that?
Here, none.
Oh, there.
None.
Yep.
One of the biggest drops we've seen in any category. From 28% down to 16.
Yep.
Yeah, so muzzle brakes are a thing now.
Yeah, I reckon that will drop a lot more as well, probably down to 5%.
I think you're right.
Yep.
The APAs were on 18%, 19%, 18%, and have gone up to 26 as the leading one. Mm-hmm. No big surprise there. Terminator, we're on about 12, 13% and have dropped down to about 10 now. with Area 419. They had one muzzle brake in 2018 recorded.
Yep.
They now have 18% of the market.
Yep.
They're the second most popular muzzle brake.
Yep.
I just
That's
said
a huge jump.
I was going to say none is the biggest drop, but no, 419 Area 419 has been the biggest improvement that I recall. Wow. Okay. Well, good on them. Terminator comes in third, so they haven't lost a huge amount of ground or anything on those lines. Ticker, this is an interesting one. Ticker were on 8%, and they've dropped to a single percentage.
I'm not sure if they've got a big range of brakes either.
No,
I think it's just the one.
I think they've got the one,
Yeah.
and it's not great.
Yeah,
it's they're not putting money into researching quality brakes.
Yep.
Other people are. They're building their guns obviously because they're dominating that space for us.
Yep.
Ticker Badger still present with us. Badger looked to have dropped off. It's interesting because a muzzle brake is at that price point. What's muzzle brakes? Couple $100 generally speaking.
Yeah. Yep.
It's that price point where I think this will change a lot from year to year. It's not like it's a scope. Well, scope people, they retain their value fairly well, whereas this is not like some things that'll just change very slowly. You'll have entire brands drop out because something new came out.
Yeah, that's it. People be like, oh, yeah, that came out. I'll jump on that and try that. And
someone gets one off a prize table, goes, oh, this is amazing. It was really, really good. And then all these people going from none to a muzzle brake all jump on board with that. We pretty much we see from there on in, we have Ruger, of course, with their stuff, Accuracy International, again, factory, and then we just have sort of like 2s and 3s of just all sorts of ones, 2s and 3s of all sorts of brands. Cadex, GCPD, Grizzly, Group Solutions, Ignition Custom, HSS, Inside Arms, Lithgow, MBM, MDA, MPA, OSS, Precision Armaments, Tika, TSC, Unknown. There's a few in Unknown.
That's me.
I had one. Did you write eBay?
Yep.
Okay. I looked at it. I'm like, who is this idiot? eBay don't make brakes. You can buy one on there, but anyway, it was you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was me. Yeah.
Makes sense now.
It works. It hasn't fallen off
I know.
yet.
I'm not complaining that you bought a brake off eBay. I'm not saying it's the smartest idea you ever had, but I'm not complaining. Just don't call it an eBay brake. You know what's going to happen now?
Yeah.
Every brake that people enter in their thing is going to be, I had an eBay brake just to piss Rusty off.
Yeah, that's it. You watch next year. Next year there'll be an eBay category.
Well played. All right. Excellent. Other accessories that are relevant. Bipods.
Yep.
Bipods. So this year compared to previous years, number one bipod was...
Probably still looking at the Atlas, would you? Atlas and then Harris.
It was Atlas. Here we go. I'm looking at the old chart for barrel. Brass manufacturer, that's not useful. Okay, Atlas. Atlas was just over 45%.
Yep.
Just a little under that this year. Harris is basically about the same.
Yep.
About 34, maybe 33% this time around.
Yep.
The new entry in there is the Skypod. No big surprise to have seen that take up. Accuracy International there, obviously with whatever they produce.
I haven't even seen what they've got.
Yep. And so they are sitting, they're sitting in line with what their factory guns are.
Accutac, that's the gnarly looking one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got all that.
Yeah, that's dropped down a little bit. A few people have moved those on, probably to make way for the Skypods.
Yep.
The Versapods are gone, and the Harris clones are about what they were the previous year.
Yep.
People will learn. People will learn. Don't get yourself a Harris clone. Anyway, that's just the way. So not a massive difference. I think that this year we will see a big difference in the Skypod.
Yeah, I reckon. Yep.
Yeah, that was on about 5% of the competitors, 6% of the competitors.
Yep. I reckon Skypod will jump up to about 20%.
Oh, he's putting numbers on it.
Yeah. Just because, like, a lot of people, like, I've got an Atlas, but I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm going to hold on to it. It's obviously it's obviously a good bipod.
And sometimes they're quite useful. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll get a SkyPod at some point.
Yeah, got one.
Got one. Yeah.
Got one.
So I think I actually would probably suggest they're going to go higher.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I think they're going to be pushing 25,
Yep.
30%. I think they and I think that they will knock out some of the other brands.
Yep.
Like I think Attack might be out of that, and then we'll see a reduction in Atlas, a reduction in Harris. I think that you'll find that those balances between Harris and Atlas, I don't think that they will change a lot. Like it's not going to wipe out all the Atlases, or it's not going to wipe out all the Harris. I think that'll be just reduced because there's probably room for 3 there. Anyway. All right, good. We are on to Ballistics apps. So having a look at last year as well. Number 1 this year.
Yeah.
Applied Ballistics.
Doesn't surprise me. It's been around for a while. It's got the versatility of the Kestrel and all that.
Yeah. Well, so Kestrel is listed separately in this options here. Now that's one thing we may. This data here may be skewed because it's possible that someone has selected Applied Ballistics saying, oh, that's what's in my Kestrel, rather than selecting the Kestrel option.
Because I guess you could get a Kestrel that doesn't have Applied Ballistics.
Yeah, but the Kestrel models are actually listed here for that. So this data may be not. Yeah, I'm going to put that out as a bit of a disclaimer that I actually don't think that many people, 32%, 33%, use Applied Ballistics as an app on their phone. I think that a majority of those people, or at least say half, and this is all speculative, there's no data on this now, but I think that a bunch of those guys use Applied Ballistics in a Kestrel. And they've just nominated that down. But anyway, second in line is the Kestrel 5700 and Strelok.
Yep.
No big surprises there. So I think I'm going to go out and say that I think Kestrel 5700 is actually the number 1. And you take a bunch off of Applied Ballistics, throw it on the Kestrel 5700, and that would probably leave Strelok in second place.
Yep.
Ballistics Arc in third. Ballistics AE in fourth. Assuming, I don't know where Applied Ballistics keeps back in. But anyway, then Hornady in there as well. And then you get sort of a couple in the 4500s from Kestrels, Tresol. That's about it. Last year, very similar results. We didn't have, again, we did have Kestrel, but Applied Ballistics was listed 1. We didn't make that connection last year. Strelok in second, GR Ballistics in third, Kestrel in fourth. So Kestrels are certainly picked up. Overall, none. There was quite a few. There's 10% last year. We've gone down to a single shooter has had no ballistics app.
It's running El Natural.
Yeah. Wonder how that's worked out for him.
Do you remember in Buchan, it was Dave Acker.
Yeah.
Said a comment. I can't quite remember how he put it.
Okay.
I reckon I've got a vague idea. Do you remember what it was?
No. I don't remember what you're referencing.
Oh, when he was talking about, we were talking about like ballistic apps and like the Kestrel and stuff. And I'm pretty sure he said something along like, oh yeah, the Kestrel, a $1,500 solution to tell you you're still 1 click off, or something like that.
What I really take from that is that you can't do a Canadian accent.
No, you don't. Yeah. Canada Air.
Yeah. I'm not that I can't either. No, I'm not even going to try.
I shouldn't have tried.
No, you should have. It's great. It's going to be like there's going to be one of these buttons. It's just you saying something Canadian with a. Anyway, okay. Yeah, I do remember him saying something along those lines.
Yeah. $1,500 solution to tell you still 1 click off.
But there's certainly a reason that I suspect they are the number 1 here. For good reason.
They do work well.
Yeah. But Dave's a Funny bloke. All right, on to a little bit of reloading. Just finishing this up. We've got a couple of categories left. We are on to projectiles. Number 1 projectile for the year, Hornady. No big surprise there. What's interesting is that burgers were a little more available this year than they were the previous year.
Yep.
Not completely, but more. And Hornady still number 1. In fact, Hornady picked up ground. They were at 38%, and they're now 45%. That got taken. Burger picked up as well. I think we've seen a couple of other options drop off, but Burger picked up as well. They ticked over 20% mark. Sierra, 15%. They picked up as well. Nosler are the one who have really suffered here. They were on about 13%, have dropped down to about 8%. Nosler were the ones who suffered, and Lapua has suffered as well. They were, again, about 9% and dropped down to about 5%. So, yeah, we see some drops in there. About the same for the HPC, which is the Optimus, which is the 30 cal. They only make the one. Federal made an entrance. Federal projectiles, which they do make projectiles, although they're more hunting. So, I'm not sure. Maybe someone's using Federal factory ammo and forgotten to actually look at which projectile it is. Possible.
Yep.
Yeah, it's possible. So anyway, so Hornady continues its run. We have dropped out Remington, Norma, D-Tax. That's where some of those, so there's a few less options where we're sort of consolidating down to a few key brands, but Hornady retain its dominance. I think they make, for their price bracket, they do really well.
Yep.
Yeah, they make a really good projectile, and they're relatively inexpensive. Comparative. Not talking about the A-tips, of course, but everything else.
That's it.
What are you running?
Hornady. Yeah.
Okay.
I think for me it sort of came down to availability, because I know when I was looking around at the Burger and the Nosler and stuff, I was kind of like, oh yeah, I know the Burger's sometimes hit and miss to get.
True.
And I just wanted that, wanted to be able to rock up and get a packet anytime.
Perfect. All right, last one. We're on to the last one. Brass. Second to last one, sorry. Brass. Brass manufacturer. Number 1 this year, Lapua at 45%. Number 1 last year, Lapua at 46%.
I don't have that much money.
So pretty consistent.
Yeah.
The next one's a bit of a mover, though. What's in next?
Yeah, well, Hornady this year is up at around 27%. And it was way down last year.
Yeah, last year it was 14%. Any ideas why? Have you got any guesses?
I reckon the factory ammunition of 6.5 Creed.
Yeah, okay. Yep. How many guys are running factory? Do you think a lot of guys are? Or do you think they're shooting factory and then using that brass to reload?
Yeah, I'd say that's what I did to start with. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Yep. I think with the 6mm Creed, they're making a lot for that. And yeah, I think there've probably been a few factors like that. There's been some bulk deals around for that. So that's perhaps a little factor. And then the next highest is sitting on like 6%. It's 8%. So it drops.
Yeah.
Hornady and Lapua are really dominating that. Norma have gone from 14% down. Now, I don't know if you know much about this, but Norma in 2019, a lot of people were unhappy with them because of the whole prime ammo situation. I'm not sure if you're on top of that or you're aware of that or you remember it, but
I heard a little bit, but wasn't really.
There was a big fallout between, there was a big fallout, and it was against Ruag, and Norma is Ruag brass, and they make Norma. I wonder whether or not this reduction from 14% down to 3 or 4 has anything to do with that, because I know a lot of guys who were in that, while we don't particularly shoot prime over here, it's a pretty tight community, and I know a lot of guys stopped buying brass. I'm not going to say it all is, but I'm curious. It'd be amazing to know
Yeah.
if and how that had a direct effect on it. A third is ADI, and that was fourth last year, so it's really Norma dropping out. A couple of names on there. Peterson had dropped down from 5 to 1%. Remington, oh yeah, still kicking around a little bit. Seiko still kicking around. Winchester picked up a little bit. Starline have entered the game, probably with some cream or brass.
Yeah. Do you think Starline might grow a little bit this year?
Maybe because of the dollars around it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's possible. So, yeah. Anyway, there you go. Now we did have one more result that we probably should have covered earlier in the scope side of things, but we didn't. So there you go. This is one of the things that I do keep track of, although, to be honest, I'm probably not going to keep track of anymore because we're pretty much at a critical mass with it. This was the MOA versus MIL, who was using what type scenario. Last year, we had 80% of the shooters running MIL, 19% of the shooters running MOA, and 1% of the shooters didn't know what they were running. So they just put dash.
Open side.
Which I'm going to suggest that they didn't finish top 10.
Yep.
Yeah. And so this year, 2019, there's been a bit of a changing of the guard. We are at 94% running MIL, and that would relieve 6% running MOA, and all the responders to the survey knew what they were shooting. Or made it up. Could have been made up, but so we are where things were trending towards, because I think if you look at the early data from back at the PRI days, you were about 70% MOA, 30% MIL, and that was 2016.
Yeah, it was really just starting to make an entrance then, wasn't it?
Here.
Well,
over
here.
It was, but you're talking over, so it's 16, so from 17, 18 and 19, over a 3-year period, we've gone from majority MOA to virtually all MIL. Ain't nobody buying a scope for PRS in MOA.
I might do it just so I'm that one.
You would, wouldn't you? And then you'd do it. You'd check the stat. You'd update your profile on PRS, and then you'd sell it and buy.
I'd be that one guy.
You'd be that one guy. You would. Anyway, so there's a few of the guys. Not we're not saying MOA is horrible or bad or anything along those lines. It's not the flavour of the competition that we shoot. So that's just why you don't see it. Yeah, that's the way. All right, mate. I think we're done. I think we got through them all. There was a few little categories. So let's delve into the data just very briefly, because one of the categories we did last year and just is problematic. Did obtain some data on it this year, but it was bags.
Oh, yep.
Now, the problem with doing that is most people run multiple bags.
Yeah.
So this won't actually be out as a graph because it's just a little hard to identify. But
how did you go about it? Was it like pick your favourite bag?
Yeah. No, it wasn't pick your favourite. It should have been. That's probably what we should have done. But it was you put down the bags you were using.
Yeah.
So I'm having a quick look through here, and please, you have a quick look through.
Yeah.
And this is the raw data here, but I'm seeing Armageddon gear a lot.
Everywhere. Yep.
A lot of Armageddon gear. I'm seeing some
fair bit of low vis.
Low vis would be ballparking a second in there. Low vis. I'm seeing plenty of short action precision as well. Not in the scale we're seeing Armageddon gear or low vis, but plenty of that and plenty of Weebad.
Yep. And then the odd tab.
Yep.
Tab around.
There's a couple of tabs in there. I mean, this is highly accurate. We're literally just scrolling up and down on this sheet, but there's quite a few homemades in there.
Actually, the more I look, the more tabs I see.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, huge amount of Armageddon gear.
Yep.
Lot. I'm gonna say number 1's Armageddon gear. Number 2's low vis gear. Number 3.
It'd have to be close between tab and short action.
Weebad's in there. Like Weebad's a small word; it doesn't stand out so much. You start looking for Weebad.
Oh yeah, when you start looking at it,
you'll see. See, Armageddon gear stands out a lot because of the the word, because it's 2 words, and low vis gear is similar. It's that V draws your eye to it. Well done, Jimmy. Good choice. But I'm going to say Armageddon gear number 1, low vis gear number 2, Weebad number 3, short action precision number 4, tab gear number 5. And then we've got some different things. We've got a Bastoli in there. We've got a bunch of homemades in there.
Now does Loviz sort of sells Armageddon gear, doesn't he?
They do, although I think that people have responded because we see a lot here where they said Armageddon gear and low vis gear, and I think so. Yep. I don't think people are confusing their game changers for a low vis gear bag.
Yep.
I think they're saying, hey, I use a game changer and I use low vis for my rear bag, or I use short action precision for my rear bag, and there's a lot of people here who have put 3 or 4 responses.
What did I put?
I don't know. No, I do have names still attached to it.
Armageddon low vis. Yep.
Yeah, Armageddon gear, low vis.
Yep.
So, yeah, there's a little bit of everything in there. It's good. That's a very imprecise way of doing it, but that's what we've done. What I would do in future, this data's collected through a different way this year, but I would give people four options.
Yep.
And ask them to put down what they're using and rank it in their preference, perhaps.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Yep. Maybe what's their number 1, what's their number 2, maybe that sort of thing, and then weight the responses accordingly. Yeah,
it'd be great to know because then I guess you could get stats on like what style of bags. You know, a smaller rear, some sort of fortune, or
useful to know.
Yeah.
And Andy's still learning how to use a microphone. He's trying to talk in the side of it.
It still works.
So yeah, I can talk in the arse end of it. Good. Anyway, that was the only thing we did miss out there on the bags. All exciting stuff. Should we name the people who are using MOA still? No.
Yeah.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that. They will work it out all in good time. It's as long as they're having fun. That's the main thing. All right. Excellent. It's fantastic. Thanks, guys. Cheers for listening, watching, whatever you're doing, and getting involved. Massive thanks to our Patreon supporters for being involved. If you're not already involved in the Precision Rifle Series for 2020, sorry, you can't be involved in Mildura. It can be involved as a stage officer, but it has sold for that. So jump on board, become a member, get early access, and we'll see you at Monado.
Yeet.
Thanks for listening to the Precision Shooting Podcast. To continue the discussion, check out our Facebook page. And for more information, head to our website, www.precisionshootingpodcast.com.au. This episode was brought to you by Impact Dynamics.